Hello, welcome to Vancouver Bass Players. My name is Laurence Mollerup, and today I'm going to be interviewing J. Warren Long from the Vancouver Symphony. Hi, Warren.
Hi, Lawrence, my nephew.
That's right, my bass uncle.
That's right. Welcome to my
Absolutely.
practice room.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought it would be interesting to talk a little bit about what's in our mind before we sit down with the instrument for our practice sessions. And my main goal is when I sit down, I have a plan. In the morning, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to tune my instrument. I'm going to work on my open strings in all registers. Just it's like slow yogic breathing. And then I'm going to do my scales, my arpeggios, and then I'm going to probably go into something like Bach, a little Sonata number 2 by Bach. Just something to get me going, something where I don't use too much vibrato. Um, and then maybe I'll go to something a little bit more romantic, like Thais or something. Yeah, and that needs some work, but you get the idea is I have a plan. I know what I'm going to do. If something's particularly bothering me orchestrally, let's say we're doing Beethoven third, the third movement is particularly difficult. And I've been playing in the orchestra for 45 years and it's still difficult. So I work on it. One of the good things about this period where we're having so much free time, I'm going and reviewing all the passages which really bug me every day. It's like, okay, now's my chance, you know? So number one, have a plan. Now, number two, I thought it would be interesting to talk about the bow grip for the German bow. Noah the other day talked about the French grip. The German bow, as I learned it from Eugene Levinson, and I prefer this way of holding the bow. I worked with Mr. Levinson 8 summers in Aspen, and he was tough, but he has allowed me to have a career much longer because he allowed me to use the hand correctly, get away from this position, drop it, use the vibrato differently, and I'm a survivor because I went through that period. Now, let's go to this. Holding the bow, what I do is I, first of all, put this portion of the bow right here. This offers me stability, yes, okay? I take the thumb, and the pinky, and essentially I'm transferring my weight from the back all the way down the shoulder on the thumb. And basically, one thing, good way to get used to this is just to hold the bow without the 3 middle fingers. So we have this important element here. These two is balance points and transference of weight. And finally, these little 3 fingers, what do? They are hinges on a door, okay? And they act to allow no notice change in your bow changes. So it's sort of easy, but it's sort of really difficult.
Yeah.
But it's really worth exploring because now the level of bass playing is so high, whether it's classical or modern or jazz. If you're going to play an arco solo in any of those styles, it's got to sound good. And the way to get it to sound good is to use your weight properly. And the other thing that I want to discuss is the bow in relation to the bridge and the tip in relation to the bridge. If you drop your tip like this is a common problem with beginners and some professional players, but it's a very simple thing to figure out. So what I do is I get a mirror and I practice in front of my mirror every day, and I make sure that tip does not drop. And that way I get a big fat full sound on all the strings, hopefully. We did the Recita duetto a couple years ago, a couple months ago on the VSO website that was on YouTube. And I was really happy. The one thing I was happy with, there were many things I wasn't happy with, but the one thing I was happy with was my bow. All that work that I put in to make sure that it doesn't drift or drop the tip. Because when you drop the tip, or you pull in like this, which is so convenient for a German bow player because of the musculature. Okay, so let's talk about being in shape, okay?
Great. That's a great topic, Warren, because I remember when I met you, and I think it was Bruckner 7, and I got to play quite near you, and I remember one of the first things you said was, check out this bow arm. And you talked about fitness. In the first 5 minutes we met each other, you were talking about fitness and running and weight training and all those things. And it was a huge influence for me, and that's why you're my bass uncle.
Good. Well, you know, it's something I still do today. In this schedule right now, I take 2 training sessions a week with my trainer. We work on core, and we work flexibility, control, and strength are all necessary elements for a double bass player. Because you have to be strong here, and you have to know how to get it strong by doing lots of trill exercises, and you're doing your foundational practice of, you know, scales, arpeggios, and you'll hear me say that a few times, but that allows you the freedom to really dig into some of the solo literature and execute. The orchestral literature is extremely difficult. I don't care how long you've done it. There's those pieces that come back all the time to either haunt you or you see them, oh boy, I get another chance at this. You know, Beethoven 9th, Ein Heldenleben, Mozart 35, the list goes on. So, you know, yeah, so physical exercise is important also for the mental component of concentration. And I think if you're in good physical shape, it frees you. So you don't, you know, you don't want to be too tight. You know, the body wants to grip, especially in the beginning, because, oh my gosh, what is this? You know, and that's natural. So you have to train it to do unnatural things in a relaxed fashion.
Wow, that's a great quote right there. Playing the bass is about doing unnatural things in a relaxed fashion. That's gold.
Well, that's what it, you know, I'm always analyzing. And it's funny, a week after I did the Rossini, I'll just show you. The week after I did Rossini, I was lying in bed. And I realized, Warren, you used a really stupid fingering for, have this theme where it goes. Okay, but I started on the second finger here. So if I go, that's 3 shifts to get to the A. Unnecessary. So my mind is always analyzing. So anyway, I had to share that with you. So music is a journey, and it's a great journey of self-exploration. It's not always comfortable, and those of us like yourself who do it professionally, we've been through all sorts of things, but we keep climbing the mountain, and
Yes.
we keep getting rewarded because we don't give up.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I'm generally never satisfied with my playing, and I tell my colleagues that. I said, you know, one reason I keep practicing is because every once in a while I hear something, oh yeah, you got it, nailed it. But
Yeah.
most of the rest of the time it's like, yeah, well, that needs some work. So I'm humble about, you know, I have a lot of experience. You know, as you know, we're all serious who choose this profession. We have to be, or
Yeah.
we can't survive. So.
Well, Warren, so you mentioned studying with Eugene Levinson, you lucky guy. And I know also in your history you studied with Oren OBrien, and maybe you'd like to just cover some of those other
I'll
teachers.
give you a little history. My own self-journey is important to me, but I'll share it with you. At the age of 5 or 6, I used to go to the piano, put my feet on the sustaining pedals, and just hit low notes and just go, oh my God. Oh, where is this? Oh, the depth. And that's how I know I'm a bass player.
I did exactly the same thing. That is so funny.
It's cool. 10 to 12, I played trumpet. Totally hated it. Hated it.
Yeah.
15, I hear the rock and roll. I get the guitar and I learn Gloria on the guitar. Oh, I'm in heaven, man. Rock is cool. But after playing in rock bands, I said, Warren, you you probably won't live past 40 if this continues. So I went to college, and in college, I played classical guitar, but I couldn't use it for a 4-year degree. Because I love the jazz bass players, and I love the depth and resonance of the pizzicato sound, I chose a double bass. Used to go in the corner, as my father would say, even the animals would run in those days, which is probably true. But I thought I could do it. So while I was at Western Washington in Bellingham, I came to a VSO concert. I went backstage and very aggressively said, I need a teacher. And someone pointed me out to Ken Friedman, who took me rather reluctantly. I had long blonde hair, and I was of the day. And after about 2 months with Ken, he said, well, why don't you increase that to once a week? Because he saw how much I practiced. Took me to Courtney. I got into the Victoria Symphony. While I was in Victoria, I kept studying, got into Vancouver Symphony in 1974. My second year, I was questioning whether I wanted to be a symphony musician. And so I took a year off and went to New York, and Ken suggested I study with Oren OBrien. Wow.
Yeah.
Truly a beautiful person, a great teacher, an exponent of the Fred Zimmerman method, the Red Book, Boeing book.
Yep.
I worked with her, man. I thought that changed me. I thought, orchestra life could be pretty good. Came back to Vancouver, and where did I can't remember where I heard, someone just told me about Eugene Levinson. So I did an audition for the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra, and after it was over, I went and took a lesson with him. He said, Warren, you good boy, you good American boy, but you have many problems. Come to Aspen and study with me. So, boy, what a great idea that was. So I did that. He changed me from being a slave to the stool. I stand when I practice at home. I sit in orchestra because it's too strenuous. But working with him, he made the bass sound, Rostropovich made the cello sound. It sang with such gloriousness. I used to get teary. I taped all my lessons. It was unbelievable. I thought, oh my God. And several of us from the symphony went down there. Dave Brown, Patricia Hatter, Frederick Shapisky, we're all down there studying with them. So the fact that I'm playing today relaxed is because I went through that period with him for about 8 years. So I've been very fortunate. What more could I ask for? And it's like living in Vancouver. It's pretty great.
It's so beautiful here for sure.
Everybody.
One of the things that you mentioned to me that you got from Eugene Levinson was the placement of the second finger instead of on the stick right here. I think that's something you showed me.
Well, I probably did. See this right here, this is where this goes in here. Okay. That's the best way to show it. It's not up here. The old style used to be like this, the Vienna style. Well, that's not going to help you for really sustained, long playing that you need in orchestra, because they're always asking for more. Give me more basses, and you got to pump it out.
Yeah.
I can do it. And that's the one good thing about being in physical shape. The demands on you in orchestra, besides the mental demands, are totally physical. I mean, when I leave there after 2 rehearsals, man, no one better talk to me for an hour after rehearsal. I hit the couch.
And I think the thing that's interesting too, that you and I both would know, and I learned from Ken as well, and with Gary too, with Gary Carr, the idea about weight versus speed. All the other strings can play with a lot of speed, but for us, there's always that weight equation of dropping your arm into the string.
You got it. And the next important element to further that good thought is pressure versus weight. Yeah. We try to avoid pressure.
Right.
Because that constricts the sound and the vibration. So we're always trying to draw. That's why I always do open strings. I work on open strings a lot. And it helps. Well, hopefully, it makes me feel better anyway. We're very fortunate to have chosen career as musicians. It's a beautiful life. Everybody wants to do it. Very few can. So there's probably during this whole COVID period, I'm at home spending a lot of time with my cat, and all of a sudden I'll hear something on classical, like Prokofiev's Second Piano Concerto. or the Schubert Great Symphony Number 9. And I'm just transported. I think that's what I do. Oh, and I'll, so I feel very fortunate. I'm humbled to have come this far. And as a musician, a mature musician at this level, I have lots of challenges. As I say, I'm never satisfied. Next question is how to have fun playing the bass.
Yeah, there's a good one.
Okay, all right, I'll see if I can do that. I'll see if I can do this. I don't know, these are, if I want to have fun playing the bass, I might pick up something like Lorenzetti Gavotte, It's got these. I love harmonics, That's how I have fun.
Yeah.
But, I practice really slow. And then I practice to failure. I want to know where I fail.
Right.
And then I try to analyze, why am I failing? Is it a string crossing? Is it a shift? Or it's just that I haven't practiced it enough. So I think for a musician, the analytical mind in practice is essential. And then when you're performing it, you don't have time to think. You just, let's make it nice. Let's make it right.
That's a great point. And I'm actually reading a book right now I'm struggling with because I don't have as much time to read as I thought I would have during COVID, what with all the eating. But this book is by, his name's Kahneman, I'm forgetting the first name, but it's called Thinking Fast and Slow. And his whole thing is that there are two ways of thinking and two mental systems, two brain systems. And he talks about slow thinking being like long division. It takes a lot of glucose, it takes a lot of energy to do, and that's why we can't do it for very long. Versus fast thinking, like instinctive thinking, which often, takes us, it usually works for us, but it can take us in bad directions we don't intend. Anyway, so the reason I bring that up is Daniel Kahneman, that's it, I think I've got it right now. The reason I bring it up is that I found in bass playing, this is so true, that if I create the right habit and my left hand looks right, and studying with Ken Friedman really fixed a lot of my bad habits, that the way I automatically want to play and what slots into place when I sit down to play has worked itself out to be pretty good because I programmed the habit in, and now I don't think about it.
That's good. That's good practice. There's no substitute for intelligent practice. It's something I work on all the time. So what am I going to do? What am I trying to achieve? And I know I'm repeating myself, but I think that whatever level you're at, when you go to the instrument, have a plan. Yeah. And having a good warm up. I think Noah spoke a little bit about this at one point. Having a good warm up procedure. You got to be nice to your musculature, and it will reward you. So I have a very old bass, an old Italian bass. Her name is Montserrat. She's about 1800. I love her. So I have no excuses for sounding poorly. If I sound poorly, it's because of me.
Do you play on a Reed Hudson bow? I know a lot of bass players have those.
I have a Reed Hudson. The bow that I use now is an old Czech bow. It's extremely heavy and particularly good for orchestra because I have to play, you just got to pump the sound out down there. There's 6 of us. And I'll plug the VSO bass section. It's the best bass section I've ever played in. I mean, I'm surrounded by virtuosos. It's incredible. Yeah. I love it. And then here's the mature guy, and I'm there to show them, hey, well, veterans also are in, we work hard too. Absolutely. I think it's a really good thing. Everybody is our teacher. Good players, not so good players. We learn from everybody. I'm constantly analyzing sound. What do I hear? What do I hear from Noah? That beautiful, clean, unforced sound. Same from Dylan and Evan. It's beautiful. I mean, I feel fortunate. So that's my plug for us. Come and hear us when we're back.
Absolutely. And if anybody hasn't checked out the last performance that you folks did right before the closure. If you want to talk about that, and I'll actually put a link there.
Yeah, when we found out, I think March 11th or 12th, that things were going in a direction we weren't hoping, we were preparing for the Beethoven Festival, and so we performed Beethoven Fifth and Beethoven Sixth to a empty hall. We just played for the microphones and the cameras. And what was really cool, for the first time in my 45 years here, we had the bassist sit along the back, and you have this expansive wall of sound. And I must say, I am so proud of those recordings. The Beethoven Sixth was just, oh man, I loved it. It was, the circumstances were sad, but here we were saying, okay, this is what we do, this is what we love, and we're here to nurture you. Take a listen. Also, every week the VSO has its chamber music online. It's on the VSO website on YouTube. Tonight there's a live performance, so I urge you to enjoy those. Yeah, it's. I'm looking out my window here. It's such a beautiful day in Vancouver. I'm never tired of my view.
I think it's probably time for a run.
Yeah, almost. I was going to mention, I have a bit of a promotion for the month of June.
Sure.
For the month of June, I live right behind the Music Academy. Anybody who wants a bass lesson, I will teach for free, no charge. There can be more than one person out under the trees, or so you can be out of the sun. Just notify me at jwlong.shaw.ca. It's jwlong@shaw.ca. And I'll show you what I know. And there'll be no charge. Because
what a wonderful offer that is, Warren. Thank you.
I want to give back a little bit now. This is a time to reach out. We all need to support each other. So, Laurence, I love what you're doing. It's very positive, and I bow to my nephew. Thank you.
Thank you so much for today, Warren. I'll definitely see you soon. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.